Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sumo Rant. I'm your nameless commenter, and this is our Natsu 26 preview. The tournament this time is held in Tokyo, Japan, the spiritual home of sumo, the third basho of the year. Let's go ahead and begin with some truly horrible, terrible, awful, bad news that we need to talk about. Onosato and Aonishiki are out of the tournament. Some truly awful news to begin the podcast with. Sounds like Onosato's shoulder, his left shoulder, the rotator cuff, still is not doing well. Hearing from his stable master, it sounds like his shoulder's bothering him quite a bit. In practices, he's not even able to beat his junior wrestlers. We've seen him drop out of tournaments, the last two, it feels like. Not great news here. He arrived at the Soken, the training, before the Natsu tournament. He was there. He was there for the beginning stuff, the ritual and ceremonies. But when the matches opened up, he left. He dipped out. He just kind of disappeared. So it sounds like this has been planned for a while, that he was probably not going to participate in this basho. I have some mixed feelings about that. The truth is that Onosato at 50% is better than half of these wrestlers on the Bansuke right now. That's the truth. So if Onosato is dropping out now, and if they're saying he can't even beat his junior wrestlers, it does concern me that the shoulder isn't getting any better. And the thing with Onosato is, at 100% health, there is no one better. There really isn't anybody better. And that's what I want to see. He's Yokozuna. He's not going to get demoted for this. I'm sure Grumpy Hikaku will have something to say. As the chairman of the sumo board, he'll have something to say about this because he always does. But this is probably the right choice. Between seeing a 9-6 Onosato who's very clearly hurt and not in the Yusho race, or missing out on Onosato for this tournament, but seeing him 2 months down the road in July at Nagoya, I think this is the right choice. I would prefer him to go ahead and sit this out, give it 2 months, and be healthy. I want to see a healthy Onosato. I want to see Onosato, Hoshoryu fighting for the Yusho again. And it's really awesome because Kirishima's back as an Ozeki, right? He can join into this mix. So he's out, Onosato's out. Give him 2 months. Hopefully he's back and he's ready to wrestle at top condition. Aonishiki is also out. We know that he didn't do well last tournament. He went Kadoban, 7-8 record in March. And we were kind of right in feeling that there may have been an injury. It sounds like he fractured his pinky toe. So anything with your foot as a sumo wrestler has to impact you quite a bit. It has to be extremely painful. So we did kind of see that. And then it sounds like in training earlier before Natsu, he was wrestling Wakamoto Haru. Wakamoto Haru was about to either throw Aonishiki out of the dojo or the opposite way around, and Aonishiki twisted, and it twisted his ankle pretty badly. They said he was able to walk on his own 2 feet out of the training session, but went to the hospital. I think he was going to try to compete, but ultimately made the decision just to not. So he pulled out of the tournament. What this means is that Aonishiki is now demoted. He will be Sekewake in July at Nagoya. But the good news is, and this is the silver lining in all of this, if he gets 2 months to rest and it helps out with the fractured pinky toe. His ankle is healthy. If he can just get 10 wins in July, he will be re-promoted just like that. Done. Okay? Why is that such a silver lining? Well, let's look at the data here. Aonishiki has wrestled in 7 basho at the top division. In 6 of those 7 basho, he has won at least 10 matches. Most of the time, he's winning 12. So a healthy Aonishiki coming back can do this very, very easily. The only one where he hasn't won at least 10 was last tournament when he was injured. And we can go all the way back to Juryo. If I look at Juryo, 8 of the last 9 basho he's competed in, he's won at least 10. So even in the 2 Juryo basho he fought in, he got at least 10. So I'm pretty confident that this was also the right move for him. As much as I want to see Aonishiki out there competing, what he did in March wasn't fun. We all wanted to see him on that Yokozuna push, and he didn't get there. And that was, honestly, it was kind of heartbreaking to see, especially knowing that he probably had injury, then later being confirmed he had injury. That sucks. And this sucks a lot too, seeing that he's Kadoban and he's not Ozeki anymore. That's a big bummer. But if he's healthy in July, we will see that promotion again. That's a rubber stamp guarantee on that. I'm telling you right now, if he's healthy, we will see him as Ozeki. He'll be re-promoted after the July basho. So, Onosato, Aonishiki, it's sad. I hate it, but probably the right choice. And honestly, it could probably lead to some really exciting sumo come July. If they're healthy and they're back, and we're back to seeing, Hoshoryu, Onosato, Aonishiki fighting, Kirishima in the mix now, I think this is probably the right move for both of them. Now, the big story in this basho is Hoshoryu and Kirishima. Hoshoryu with the June Yusho in March went 11-4, and the question is, can he build on that last tournament? We're still waiting on seeing a Hoshoryu Yusho. We haven't seen it yet. It's been over a year since he was promoted to Yokozuna, and we've yet to see that Yusho. Is this finally the tournament? Are we finally going to see it? Hoshoryu's 100% healthy. I haven't heard any injury news come out of his camp. Haven't heard anything about him not being at 100%. The question I have is mentally, where is he? I'm not questioning his mental toughness. We know Hoshoryu is mentally tough. The question I have, and I don't even know if it's really fair to ask, but is he too arrogant? And what I mean by this is Hoshoryu is easily probably one of the most top technical wrestlers we have in this top division. There is nobody better with his technique. The problem is Hoshoryu often becomes kind of a one-trick pony. When we look at his kimerete, his winning techniques, we see a lot of uwatanages, we see a lot of hatake komis, so overarm throws and slap downs. And that's awesome, like it really wows the crowd, but he's moving backwards quite a bit. We're not seeing a lot of yorikiris and oshidashis where you're forcing them out, you're pushing them back. And I get that his technique isn't, pushing, thrusting, anything kind of like that. I know that he has the Mongolian wrestling background, and so he is probably used to more stepping back and throwing. But I think that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is he's moving backwards, and a lot of bigger guys, he has troubles with Onosato. He has troubles with Aonishiki. Why? Because they're really hard to throw. Ono Sato's a big boy. Hoshoryu's not throwing him, right? And so he has troubles with that. Now, recently, I think Hoshoryu has been fairly successful with that. But that's a big boy. That's tough. Ionishiki, on the other hand, like he really can't beat Ionishiki. He's only beat him like once recently. Um, and that's because Ionishiki, when he's healthy, he's kind of bent over, but you can't slap him down and you can't really pick him up and throw him. He's tough. Atami Fuji's another one that Hoshoryu kind of struggles with every once in a while. You can't throw him. And so my question is, in this next tournament, are we going to see Hoshoryu with a change in mentality? That, yeah, his go-to can still be the Uwatenage. That could be his go-to. Throwing him, that can still be it. That could be a winning finisher. But when a big boy comes at him and tries to grab that Mawashi, is Hoshoryu going to keep opening up the hips, keep walking backwards, or is he going to square up and push him back out? Because there's no doubt in my mind that even against the biggest of them, Ono Sato, Atami Fuji, Takayasu, I don't care. Hoshoryu is strong. He is strong enough to push him out. Are we going to see a little bit of a change in technique here where Hoshoryu is going to start using his Yorikiri Oshidashi a little bit more? And I kind of hope so. Because I think that will win him the Yusho this time around. Kirishima won the Yusho in March, 12-3 record. His return to Ozeki was secured after 2 years. Chairman Hakaku, who is usually very grumpy, had some very positive things to say about Kirishima. Even alluded to something of a Yokozuna run coming up. He's a favorite to win for sure. And he's motivated to win. We've heard him talk about his daughter and wanting to win for her. And now that he's back as Ozeki, he doesn't ever want to lose that rank again. And one way to ensure you don't ever lose that rank is to get promoted to Yokozuna. He's a little older. He's in his 30s. So, it's a little later than usual, but we've also seen that happen several times where older wrestlers finally have it figured out. They're finally healthy and they're able to really be dominant for 3-4 years later on. And Kirishima kind of feels like he's following that path. And when we look at Hoshoryu and Kirishima, the path is clear for them. Ono Sato's out, Ionishiki's out. So 2 of the top division wrestlers are out with injury. So that would mean who's standing in their way? Well, Koto Sakura, who I'm not sure if he's healthy. His knees seem to still be bothering him years later. Atami Fuji, Koto Shoho, Takayasu, Waka Takakage. Who's going to stop these 2? And so the real competition here is Hoshoryu versus Kirishima. And when we look at those numbers, Hoshoryu versus Kirishima is 11-9. Hoshoryu 11 wins, Kirishima 9 wins. It's a coin flip. This Yusho might just be a coin flip. It's 50% basically at this point. So I think it'd be really cool to see them, both go into that last day. I don't know, 13-1, 14-0. That would be a lot of fun to see. And I think the path is clear for that. I'm not seeing a lot of people who are going to step up and stop these 2 from winning a 15-0 Yusho. I'm not. And so this really will probably come down to Hoshoryu and Kirishima, and I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. Some other people to talk about. We have Atami Fuji, who went 9-6 at Komusubi in March, now at Sekewake. And we have Koto Shoha, who was at Magashira 5, promoted to Sekewake as well, won the Fighting Spirit Prize last tournament with an 11-4 record. I'm excited about it. I love Atami Fuji. I've made that pretty clear. Atami Fuji is one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. He's a big boy. He's figured out his footwork a little bit. I think I think he's going to be a mainstay at the top of the Basho now for sure. Um, I don't know if I can put it in writing that he will always be a Sekewake or a Komusubi, or that he'll even ever be an Ozeki. But I definitely feel like he's gonna stick Magashira 3 and higher for the time being. At least I really hope so, because I really enjoy him. Nothing would make me happier than to see an Atami Fuji Yusho. That would be so much fun. Koto Shoho, on the other hand, um, up to Sekewake, 11-4 last tournament at Magashire 5. I'm impressed. I'm really excited to see him up this high in the Basho or Bansuke. Um, I I hope he's able to do really well. I'd like to see him compete for the Yusho. Why not? He's already won one before. Albeit he was at a much lower level and he won kind of the the lucky spot of the Bansuke. But nonetheless, he has that experience. I feel like maybe the stage was a little too bright for him a couple times when he's gotten this high before, and he's lost pretty poorly. But just like Hoshoryu and Kirishima, Atami Fuji and Koto Shoho definitely benefit from the clear path. Two of the top dogs are out. And I'm sorry, I love you, Koto Zakura. I don't see him stopping either of these two from finishing very highly in the rankings. I don't see him doing that. So Tommy Fuji, Koto Shoho, I'm excited about. Let's see what they do. Let's see what happens. I really do hope they do well, and I hope they kind of hold their ground here, and even maybe sneak out a Yusho. Who knows? There's really not a lot to talk about with this uninspiring Magashira ranks, I have to say. When I was looking at this, it to me it seemed very boring. Fujinokawa is at Magashira 1, his highest rank that he's ever held in sumo. I believe he was at Magashira 2 last tournament, and he finished with a 8-7 record with a technique prize. So he's at his highest ranking right now. Let's see what he does. I think he's gonna be a fun one to watch. He's around Takayasu, Wakataka Kage. We have Atami Fuji, Koto Shoho. He's gonna have to wrestle some top guys, and he proved last tournament that he could hang, albeit with a hurt Ionishiki and a hurt Onosato. But he's proven something, and he has a lot of heart. He's fast, he's strong. He just doesn't have that size that you typically see in sumo. And so I'm interested to see, like, will he eventually plateau? Will he eventually get at a point where he's kind of figured out? I don't know. But he's my bright spot at the top of the Magashiras. I'm really excited to see him, and I really do hope he keeps winning. I'd love to see him at Komusubi next tournament. I thought he'd be there this tournament, and I think he can hold his own. I really do. I don't know if it's ever going to be a 12-3, but a 10-5 certainly is going to be possible. I definitely think you can get another 9-6 where he'll be able to hold rank. I think that's definitely possible, and he's the youngest guy here right now too, so he has plenty of energy to get it done. Some other Magashiras I was interested in talking about. Wakanosho at Magashira 16 is making his debut in the top division. He was 11-4 last tournament in Juryo. And somehow, Fuji Ryoga at Magashira 17 last tournament with a 7-8 record holds his spot at Magashira 17. I put him as one of my wrestlers to watch, rikishi to watch. I was hoping he would perform a lot better than he actually did. I even had him as like a dark horse guy who would at the end of the tournament would be up there in the race for the Yusho. It didn't turn out that way. 7-8 record. It looked like he was maybe just a little uncomfortable when other wrestlers were able to get his Mawashi. When it really got into like close combat, they grabbed the Mawashi and started thrusting him out. I think it made him a little uncomfortable and he didn't really know what to do there. He's young. He's young. He's a top prospect. He got a second chance. I kind of expect him to do a little bit better than what he did last time. You know, that first time up, I'm sure the emotions of it all are quite a bit, and especially when you wrestle your first top division wrestlers. And man, that's tough. It's like facing your first big league pitcher. When you see that, you've seen a 96-mile-an-hour fastball before, but when it comes out of the hands of Max Scherzer, it looks a little bit different. So maybe the same things kind of happened last tournament. This time, I expect him to do much better. I think he's a lot more motivated to make sure he secures a Kachikoshi and stays in the top division. Some other guys I suppose we should probably talk about. Fuji Seiyun, who went 10-5 at Magashira 13 last tournament, was promoted to Magashira 6, his highest rank he's ever achieved. Asahakuru, who went 10-5 at Magashira 16, was promoted to Magashira 8. And Asanoyama, who went 8-7 at Magashira 12, was promoted to Magashira 10. The reason why I want to talk about these three guys in particular is because I feel like they're the ones that have probably a good chance of winning the Yusho, and nobody really expecting them to. I think they have a lot of maturity for who they are. They're older wrestlers. They have a lot of bouts under their belt, under their mawashi, if I will. And I think they're in very lucky spots. Maybe Fuji Seiyun at Magashira 6 is probably not as lucky, but like at Magashira 8, Magashira 10, they're not going to have to face all of the top guys like some of the other top division wrestlers will have to. They might get pretty lucky here in this first week of the tournament, put up big numbers. If they can go 7-0 in the first week and then just kind of hold serve for the second week, they're in contention. No doubt. No doubt. And I've established my clear path doctrine is what I'm going to call it. My clear path doctrine. A lot of the top guys are hurt or missing. Now is an opportunity for Fuji Seiyun, Asahakuru, Asanoyama to use their maturity and win one. Be sneaky. Koto Shoho did it. He was able to do it. So why wouldn't some more mature wrestlers with a better understanding of how to win with some savvy vet techniques, why not them? So, like I said, I suppose they are some I should talk about here, and we'll see. But I do anticipate that they'll have probably some good tournament records here. Probably 10-6, or sorry, 10-5s, 9-6s. Maybe a Yusho. I don't know. We'll see. But I wouldn't be shocked to see them towards the top of the rankings come the end of this Basho. All right. So what are we watching for in this tournament? The first thing I have written down is Hoshoryu domination. I think he is ready to dominate the Bansuke right here. He's ready to dominate it, and I don't see anybody who's going to really stop him. Kirishima will be his biggest competition here. And I think he is physically ready to do this, and he's mentally ready to do it. And with Ono Sato and Io Nishiki out, his two biggest competitors for the last 4-5 Basho, with them out, like the path is clear for him to absolutely dominate here. And that's what I'm hoping to see this first week. I hope Hoshoryu comes out firing and he goes 7-0. Like legitimately goes 7-0. That's what I'm here to see. That's what I'm excited to see, and I would not be shocked if it happens. So I'm watching for some Hoshoryu domination this Basho. I'm also watching for Atami Fuji and Koto Shoho. I want to see are they going to hold their own here? I've already stated I think they're legit. I think Atami Fuji's legit. I think he's going to hang around. Koto Shoho, I think, has a bigger question mark. But I also am leaning closer to he's he's going to be legit this time around. I don't think that's a popular opinion based off what I'm reading online. I don't think it's popular to say that, but I think his physique is a lot larger than I think I realize or a lot of people realize. You look at him and you go, oh, he's kind of a smaller wrestler. He's maybe not as strong. But when you really see him stand next to some of these other rikishi out there, he's a big boy. He's a big boy with a great physique. His stable master's talking about a Ozeki promotion, a run for Yokozuna, which might be a little bit too much, but he has won a Yusho, and as lucky as it may have been, the experience of being there means a lot. And so, Atami Fuji, I think's legit. Koto Shoho is maybe more of a prove it kind of moment. But I'm watching these two guys to see what they do because I definitely think they will be in the conversation for the Yusho this go around. Another fellow I'm going to be watching, Koto Zakura. I haven't really heard too much about him. I haven't heard one way or another whether his knees are healthy, although I will unfortunately doubt that. I will doubt they're healthy. It's been almost 2 years now. But just as everybody else with my clear path doctrine, he benefits. He's going to benefit from that. And this would be a moment for him to be really sneaky. To be really sneaky and just kind of hold his own. And who knows? Maybe Kirishima, Hoshoryu, Atami Fuji, Waka Takakage, Takayasu, maybe they all beat each other up. Maybe Hoshoryu and Kirishima both fall 3 matches early this week. Maybe that happens. And Koto Zakura just kind of holds. And next thing you know, we have a Yusho champion with an 11-4 record. Maybe. I don't know. A 10-5 record even. Like this tournament definitely has the feel of either like some absolute domination or just the silliest Yusho victory you could ever see. It definitely has that feel. So I'm watching Koto Zakura. Let's see what he does. I know I'm always really excited about him. I like him a lot. He's one of my favorites. I have to say, when I first started watching sumo wrestling, he wasn't really, but he's really growing on my heart, and I just want to see him do well so badly. So he's on my watch list. Let's see what happens here with Koto Zakura. Last thing to watch for here, and this one is kind of a heartbreaker. Ura has been dropping down the Bansuke quite a bit. He was as high as Magashira 4, I believe, and since then, the last 2 tournaments, he went 4-11. Oh, so he went 4-11 at Magashira 2, and then 5-10 at Magashira 8. And so this tournament, he's at Magashira 11, but if he goes out there and has another 4-11 tournament, we could be talking demotion, or at least really close to demotion. He's a fan favorite for everyone, so nobody wants to see this. But he's getting really close to that bottom, and that is a little nerve-wracking. I don't want to see that. I love Ura, and I think everybody else does too. So here's hoping for a bounce-back tournament for him, which... Totally, why not? He's down there towards the bottom. He isn't going to have to wrestle a lot of the top people. He can show up and he can wrestle Shishi and just absolutely toss Shishi out of the dojo for all I care. His first match, it looks like, is against Hakuno Fuji. So yeah, Hakuno Fuji's been hurt quite a bit. I'm always really high on Hakuno Fuji too, but here's hoping Ura comes out with some strong wins early on, and with a Kachikoshi this tournament. All right, time for my predictions. I have to say, when I wrote my notes for this last night, I wrote down Kirishima as my winner. But I think I've talked myself into believing in Hoshoryu. That's where I'm at right now. I believe Hoshoryu is going to dominate. So I scratched Kirishima's name out. I'm going Hoshoryu. Hoshoryu is going to win the Yusho, and I think he's going to win it in dominant fashion. I would love nothing more than to see him win a 14-1, 15-0 Yusho. And we don't see that often, so if I sound crazy, I apologize, but not really, because I think it's possible. I really do think it's possible that Hoshoryu shows up and he just dominates. Absolutely dominates. 14-1, 15-0, 15-0. My God, that would be so cool. I think it's possible. I really do. I think the reality is maybe a 13-2 Yusho, but I think he's ready to shut everybody up. He's finally 100% healthy. He's been hurt since he's been promoted to Yokozuna. He's had to drop out of so many tournaments. He's finally healthy. And if we saw anything from that last tournament, I think he's getting his mind right. Like we kind of talked about. Maybe he is kind of a one-trick pony sometimes. But I think he's kind of diversifying his game a little bit here. And we're gonna see a new Hoshoryu here who is gonna absolutely dominate this Bansuke. I really believe it. My loser of the Bansuke is going to be Ichi Yamamoto. He is at Magashira 2 right now, and I'm just not a believer. I think that's a really high rank for him. I think he's had successful tournaments. He went 9-6 last tournament at Magashira 6. But in January, when he was Magashira 1, he went 4-11. At Magashira 5, way back in September, he went 4-11. He seems to be on this roller coaster of anything below Magashira 5, he's able to put up a winning record. And then once he gets up there close to that joy in the joy, he can't put up the same records. So he went 9-6 at Magashira 6 last tournament. I'm just not a believer. I think Magashira 2, he's kind of at the peak of where he can perform. And I don't think he's going to do well. But like I said, this Basho is going to be weird. It's going to be weird. We're either going to see absolute domination or we're going to see the weirdest Yusho victory ever with a 10-5 Kotozakura winning or a 10-5 Fuji Seiyun winning the Yusho. Like, either something really weird's going to happen or it's going to be Hoshoryu Kirishima, Hoshoryu domination for sure, by the way. But I'm not a believer in Ichi Yamamoto at Magashira 2. Lastly, my bold prediction for this Basho. Koto Shoho will win the Yusho. I know, everybody's shocked. Let me tell you why, and once I tell you this, you're gonna believe me. Koto Shoho's secret weapon is still in the Bansuke. His brother, Koto Eiho, is still in the top division. Koto Eiho is ranked Magashira 13. He had a decent tournament last Basho. So will Koto Shoho. Whenever his brother's not in the top division, he does well. When he won his first Yusho, Koto Eiho was in the top division. Koto Shoho is my dark horse. He's my bold prediction. He's going to win the Yusho. That would be my bold choice. I don't know. On paper, this Basho, it kind of appears boring at first. But I think this is going to be another really fun one. I really do believe that we're going to see a Hoshoryu Kirishima showdown. That's what's really going to probably happen here, is a lot of fun with those guys just destroying the Bansuke with dominant victories is what I'm really banking on right now. But if that doesn't happen, I still think there's going to be a lot of fun because there's going to be some weird wrestling going on, some weird wins, and maybe somebody we didn't even expect will show up and win the Yusho, and we'll be happy about it because this is sumo, and it's fun. I'll be back in about 2 weeks for the recap. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'll catch you later.